There we go. What's up? Raider Radio episode 2 million. Now, 263 is actually the number of the episode. One of the first things I saw this morning was a flashbacky Empire Sports report featuring Mike DeGeorge from this day many years ago. From yesterday, February 10th, 2000. It was horrible. Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed released. The Bills just put out of their misery, and then they didn't make the playoffs until 2017 or whatever it was. But just watching that, and I remember I was doing radio at the time, so that was like, I wasn't hosting. I think I must have been producing the morning show. No, I would have been hosting by then. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is the connection between the glory of football. That was the bridge from the glory of Bills football in my high school and college years, and then the abject misery that existed for a span of like 16 years. And it all seemed to just happen on that day. And in the report, I guess it's probably legal for me to just play that report, right? We'll do just the audio. It wasn't just because I remember the three of them being out on the same day, and they were calling it black. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was a black Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was a Monday, Tuesday, or Friday. I could see it being any of them, as all of them are in my head as events in my lifetime, stock market crash and shopping and like whatever. But it was a dark day. But the report was even worse because it wasn't just Mike DeGeorge telling us, "Yep, they did it. They cut Thurman, Bruce, and Andre." The way he described it, in case I can't find it right now because I realize it's not on my screen anymore, he described it as it was inevitable with Andre. They wanted Bruce Smith to take a 50% pay cut, and Thurman was never offered a contract, and they think that because Thurman wasn't offered a contract, that Bruce didn't want to stick around. Certainly didn't want half the money, but didn't want to stick around. And then because that was one of the final ties to the old crew. But then after that, like this shows how disastrous things were right there. After that, it was another screen that came up of graphics, and still Mike DeGeorge talking, and it listed the free agents. And it was like, Reuben Brown is a free agent. And he ended up coming back, but it looked like they could lose him too. And Jay Reimers was a free agent. He was set to visit Cleveland. And I meant to look at it. I think he did go to Cleveland. There was somebody else on there, too. And Ted Washington. They weren't sure what they were going to do about him. And it was just like, oh. And it felt devastating. And it reminded me of, like, right now, when any of these conversations where they talk about, like, a window being closed or something, just remember that's what it looked like when something collapsed. And that's what it'll feel like when Josh announces his retirement or whatever. Be like, oh, no. Or maybe we'll be ready at that point because it'll be 20 years from now and he'll be, 11 Super Bowls in. I'm not sure. But, like, that's what a bad day is like as a fan of the Bills. Like, you've got something here. That was a group that was really good year after year. And you can say what you want about making it to the Super Bowl or not making it to the Super Bowl. Those, winning it or not, is kind of where I am, and I guess it's because I've been through 4 losses and then a bunch of times where they don't go. I just want as many games as possible. To me, this is going to sound overly simplified, but the difference between going to the AFC Championship game and losing and going to the Super Bowl and losing it's one game. Having the trophy, getting the we can all wear shirts that say champion. Like that's different. Like I watched another video today. It was some talking heads, could be a Fox show, could be a ESPN show. It doesn't matter. But the conversation was, who's going to be the next one to go to the Super Bowl out of Burrow and Allen and Lamar Jackson? Who cares who's the next one to go to the Super Bowl? I mean, we all care because we want it to be Josh Allen, but it just the overall concept of he's never even been to a Super Bowl. And then you couple that with, well, Drake May's been to a Super Bowl, So he's better, right? He's better than Josh Allen because he's been to a Super Bowl. Only took him 2 years to get to a Super Bowl. That makes him better. It's just all of the conversation is so stupid. It makes me wonder why we have it at all. Like, why do I listen to anybody who isn't rooting for the exact same thing that I'm rooting for? What, like, I just get frustrated. Anyway, going down the rabbit hole of history, I wound up with a whole list of things. I mean, I started trying to rank them in my head. Like, what's the best and what's the worst? Like, Whitney Houston died on this day in 2012. I would put that pretty low as far as things that I like. Burt Reynolds being born on this day in 1936. That's kind of medium. Thomas Edison. That's a big one. Kind of needed him. Like, this kind of ties to the Super Bowl. Like, Drake May went to the Super Bowl, and that's cool for him. I mean, it was cool until he got there. The thing is, though, like, I don't have this completely planned out the way that I want to say it, so just bear with me as I close my eyes and think. Somebody wins the Super Bowl every year, and you're just hoping it lands on your team, right? So no matter what happens, if the league exists, there's going to be a team that comes out of the AFC, there's going to be a team that comes out of the NFC, they're going to play each other, poof, somebody's going to win. And the backup guard will get a ring, and he'll get to hold the trophy, and he'll get his picture taken, and he will forever be a champion. And so will the public relations staff. Likely will get rings, and they will be champions. Did that make you a better PR person than the guy working for the other team or the woman working for the other team? If you're the assistant defensive backs coach and you're a champion, does that make you better than the other assistant defensive backs coaches? I think about this a lot with hockey, especially back when the Sabres were good and were making these runs to the playoffs or to the Eastern Conference Finals in 06 and 07. If they went on to win the cup, did that make those players better? Like, all of a sudden, I want to bring in that guy because he's got championship blood or whatever it is. If Andrew Peters wins a Stanley Cup and you can acquire him at the trade deadline the next year, and this is no knock on Andrew. I like Andrew. But just for example, is Andrew Peters a more valuable player the next season at the trade deadline if the Sabres beat the Hurricanes and then the Oilers to win the cup? And then the next year, everybody on your team is a former champion. You bring in Chris Drury because he knows how to win. Once you win, now everybody knows how to win, and now everybody's more valuable. I don't know. I just think about it that way. Bring it back to Thomas Edison. If Thomas Edison, because somebody always wins. Every year, there's a champion. Every year, somebody wins the Kentucky Derby. Every marathon, somebody wins it. And if that person didn't win, if that person fell down, got hit by a bus on the way to the venue, somebody else would win it. Right? And if that person got hit by a bus, somebody else would win it. So if Patrick Mahomes doesn't go to the playoffs, and Joe Burrow doesn't go to the playoffs, and Lamar Jackson doesn't go to the playoffs, and there's Josh Allen, does he have to win it, or might he fall down and then Drake May goes forward? And does that make Drake May better than it makes Josh Allen? I don't know. Back to Thomas Edison. Light bulbs. Do we get to light bulbs? We probably get to light bulbs, right? If Thomas Edison falls down, do we get to light bulbs? He was born on this day in 1847. There's a goat for you. With some perspective. That guy's big time. I want to look up Edison inventions. Phonograph. Do we get to podcast without records? No. Do records come up without Edison? I don't know. Was somebody else working on it too? I don't know. But when you're making like a Mount Rushmore of life, at least in the United States, let's say, Thomas Edison, kind of killing it. Inventions by Thomas Edison's inventions is what I'm looking up right now because I want to know how crazy this is. All right, the practical incandescent light bulb, the phonograph for sound recording, and the motion picture camera. So I'm talking into a computer right now. It's landing at your house, but I'm using audio technology that obviously got started back then when they first figured out how to record sound. Dude figured out how to record sound. and motion pictures. And you can do it at night now because of the light bulbs. All this talk about Drake May and Bad Bunny. We're not celebrating Thomas Edison's birthday. That's crazy talk. Superstar, absolute superstar, Thomas Alva Edison. Batteries? Batteries! Where are we without batteries, man? That guy's good. Wasn't just an inventor, he was a successful businessman who commercialized his creations, fundamentally influencing electricity, entertainment, and communication. We should all, every show like this, every show that exists electronically, with lights and cameras and audio, has Thomas Edison to thank. Shout out to my man T.E., born in 1947. So I would rank that one pretty high. I would rank Whitney Houston dying pretty low. The invention of the hospital, the first hospital, not the invention of the hospital, but the first American hospital, so maybe it is. I don't know. Who did it? Was it Thomas Edison? No, another great one. Ben Franklin, 1751, hospital. First U.S. hospital opens on this day in 1751. What a day in history. That is up there with the birth of Thomas Edison to me. Hospitals are very important. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've ever been to one. Those are big. Up there with that. So Thomas Edison born, hospitals, first hospital today. Not today, it would have been 1751 today. We're going to keep Burt Reynolds kind of in the middle. You got the death of Whitney Houston low. Nelson Mandela was released on this day in 1990. Pretty big. And then there's this one that I'm going to put I'm going to make this one, I'm going to say this one's worse than the death of Whitney Houston. I'm going to put Thomas Edison tops, then hospital. Did I say Jennifer Aniston was born? I'm going to put her ahead of Burt Reynolds, but all of that behind Thomas Edison. Hospital is up there near Thomas Edison. Mandela release is kind of middle. I mean, not a huge impact on me personally, but I got a lot of respect for all of that. Whitney Houston dying, that's the bad one. Do you know what happened on this day 6 years ago? February 11th, 2020. This day, 6 years ago, is the first time you heard the phrase COVID-19. World Health Organization came up with this fun name for the novel coronavirus that was, I won't say sweeping the nation, but sweeping the world. And before, 6 years and 1 day ago, none of us had heard the phrase COVID-19. And then I've heard it, then we heard it every day for probably 4 years and less lately, which is good. But I'm gonna put that one last. So Whitney Houston, much respect to Whitney. Best Super Bowl anthem ever, in my estimation. Most emotional, just cool, iconic. I can't think of another one that's even in the ballpark, in the conversation. That's the iconic performance of the national anthem that I've ever seen or heard. So respect to her for that, but that didn't happen on this day in history. She died on this day in history. So we're still gonna elevate that. She's up one notch as we're ranking these things, best to worst. Best, Thomas Edison. Shout out to the greatest of all time. Worst, just hearing that word, that phrase, I should say, COVID-19. You'd never heard it before 6 years ago today, and hopefully we never hear it again, ideally. I go through most days without hearing it now. But there's always some little reminder. You're at the store, there's somebody with a mask. Remember how horrible that was? Remember when we were doing preschool on a computer? Who thought remote pre-K was going to do anything for anybody? Whose idea was that? Who came up with that one? That obviously was just, we got their money. If we're going to keep it, I guess we better do something. All right, go sit in front of a computer and recite the alphabet for 2 hours a day. Or I don't even remember how they did it. Or I'd like to say my kids were not negatively impacted by it because, this entire generation grew up with it. You don't know any different. But, man, that's just The Bruce Thurman Andre thing sent me spiraling through, what else happened on this day? And then I realized now it wasn't even this day, it was yesterday, the Bruce Thurman Andre thing. But regardless, if I had the thing for you right now still on the screen, I would play it, but I got caught up in tracking other things. Sorry. I had multiple people ask me, how did Brain Vault go last night? We didn't do Brain Vault last night. We didn't do it last night. We took a week off. I had a meeting about it yesterday as we're continuing to grow it. But we did 2 episodes, took a week off, and then we're going to start it up again next Tuesday. Tickets available now at thecasbuffalo.com. I'll put the link in the chat at some point. I haven't done that. Why don't I could just do that right now. You guys can sit there. What's the difference, right? Thecasbuffalo.com. You bring it up. You look for the banner that no longer has my face on it, which is cool because it was like a pre-haircut, pre-buffalo trim picture of me that I just took and then put into AI and said, make this look like a headshot. And it did. And it looked like, 85% Brad and 15% computer Brad. And we don't want that. We don't want computer Brad. So tickets are on sale. Prices dropped a few bucks. And we're now going general admission because I was a little frustrated last week with not the number of people, because honestly, we'll do the show for 4 people if that's who shows up. We had 30 people or something, but they were sitting in pockets like out there. And you look out right in front of the stage, and everybody came, but they were kind of timid and sitting in the back, and it was just yuck. So, general admission, we're going to direct people to move toward the front to give it more energy. It was a lot of that. This is a developing show. It was funny. I was talking to Jeremy Hoyle, who's the band leader of the Strictly Hip, and saying, I got to find I have full confidence in the show itself, but I need the crowd to get it and be more energetic. So we talked a lot about laying out exactly what's going to happen. Because I realized after the fact, the first week I came out and explained everything because it was the first time we're doing it. The second week I came out and explained very little, and that was just an oversight on my part. Some would call it the curse of knowledge. But I knew what was about to happen, and I forgot that other people, there were many who were in the room for the first time and had no idea what we were about to do. And I didn't adequately explain it. So it was kind of like, how do you do this? And talking with Jer, who, A, books things at the Cas, and B, is a performer who's done thousands of shows. Like, how do you start a show? How do you end a show? What do you do to keep this, energy level up? How much do you have to inform a crowd of what, instruct people on what they have to do? So it's a lot of that setup, the music beforehand, the lighting cues, it's like a whole production, as opposed to this where it's me turning it. The worst thing that happens here is I forget to turn on this light and my face is a little darker. But that's it. But this is a whole thing. So it's like, all right, we tried it. Let's talk about it. We'll take a week off. Then let's go with number 3. So I'm happy, we're all set up. Ticket. Oh, yeah, I meant to copy the thing. Hold on, I got putting the link in the chat so you can go buy tickets. If you're interested in attending, then we're going to pin that to the top. Poof. There we go. All right, good deal. And I hope to, within the next day or two, announce a special guest, because it'll be me, and Tim Graham has graciously decided to just be a part of it and be along for the ride. Like, yeah, I don't have anything going on Tuesday nights. And there will be times, like a couple weeks from now, he's got to go to the Combine, which I believe is still in Indy. I haven't heard anything that it's changed, but he mentioned Combine, and that will be a week without Tim. But generally speaking, he's agreed to hang out, crack-wise, answer a couple questions, or try to answer a couple questions, and have a couple beers or whatever. That's what we're doing. We're hanging out. It's fun. And we're adding to the energy. But Tim is, so now instead of the banner having my dumb face on it and like a dumber, well, I don't know, maybe less dumb, it's just got the graphic and says hosted by Brad Ryder with Tim Graham. It's got our sponsors on there, the financial guys and Buffalo Trim, that, I don't know, it's holding up pretty well. I do think I look better even right now. I certainly look better right now than I did before going in there. Although I did intentionally go full werewolf so that the before and after would be very dramatic. And looking at it, I can't believe I was walking around like that. Nobody would, I mean, I could tell my wife would just, I'm hideous, or you're hideous, really. But it's worse than I thought, especially next to the clean cut, freshly buffalo trimmed version of me. It's pretty gross. I went into a potential clothing sponsor, and I had not approached them prior to this. Like, I reached out to the financial guys by email. I reached out to Buffalo Trim by email. And then I just picked a clothing place. I was like, I want to look better. Get a suit, a couple suits, or a sport coat, or sport coats, or I don't know what. And I went in there, and I explained the situation. And, my beard, it wasn't huge, but it was gross. I hated it. And the owner was like, I said, like, the whole plan here is I'm this dirtball that does a show at his house, and instead I'm going to clean up, and now I'm going for, like, the stage look. So, trimmed beard and haircut, and see her looking at me, and she goes, did you already get the haircut? I'm like, no, this isn't, you don't know me at all. This isn't what I'm planning to look like. This is what I look like now, and now you are going to help clean me. And I just walked away. Never mind. Like, it wasn't working. It was the wrong approach to just show up at the store. But we'll get to that. It's fine. We'll add. I don't want to have like a bunch of sponsors. Ideally, we just keep these two and add maybe one other full sponsor and then like a little tiny one. I also started working on prizes to give away for people who come on stage and are successful in completing whatever task is assigned to them. But it's going to be fun. Got a couple new wrinkles to throw in to Brain Vault Episode 3. Tickets available now at thecazbuffalo.com. All right. I'm Brad. It's episode 263 of Writer Radio. It's brought to you by Brian Janik of thefinancialguys.com. I got caught up last night in the Nancy Guthrie stuff. So I got a text from Scott Wilson saying they keep cutting into these key Olympic moments with updates on the Today Show host's mom. Now, I happened to be at a basketball game, a basketball practice and then a basketball game last night. And I just never got around to the Olympics. I got that text, and I was on the phone for a while, and I was like, oh, yeah, and then all of a sudden I realized, hey, I'm actually more interested right now because I'm not caught up in the night or the day of Olympic coverage. I mean, I can just skip today. I don't know what's going on. I can just not. Most days of my life, I don't watch Olympic sports. This can be one of them. And then I just started following along online of the stuff going on with this Guthrie person and watching people in real time attempt to solve crime on Twitter is pretty entertaining. Like, there was a lengthy Fox News report that I saw. It was like a 6-minute long thing. And I watched that whole clip. And then I went into the comments underneath it. And I guess it's not surprising, especially considering the way people generally talk about sports, talk about politics, talk about anything. But there are people just sitting online watching the same report I did, and instead of going, that's interesting, they are suddenly like, well, the criminal is obviously stupid because the criminal did this, and look, why didn't they think of this weeks ago? And just all of this stuff. There's a Nest Cam footage from the home of the woman who was seemingly abducted, who's missing. And the thing that came out of it yesterday, which I found interesting, is she didn't have a subscription for it or anything, so it's just a camera. But apparently the FBI had the ability to go back in time and look at the Nest camera, despite the fact that she's not subscribed to anything. Like, right now, we got a, not Nest, what's the other one? Ring. We got a Ring doorbell that I installed on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas or whatever. And it came with a month of subscription, like premium subscription, which means I can go back in time and watch anything that's happened on that camera, up to 2 weeks or something, whatever it is. And there was a free month of subscription, and I intend to do it again, like to subscribe to the thing, but I haven't yet. So now we just get notifications when there's motion in front of the door. If you click on it quick enough on your phone, you'll see what's going on outside. If somebody's still standing there, but it's not recording. Except apparently it is, because if the FBI can suddenly say, "Hey, there's a Ring doorbell, let's just access that," and then they can pull it up, that to me is a little freaky, right? I mean, I remember we have one of those, it's another Google thing, like a hub, I don't know, it's a screen this big where my kids will say, "Hey, G word." I gotta say G word or my phone's gonna go, "What? What, Brad? Huh? What? I'm listening." Where if you say that, then it's like, doo-doo, and then like, they'll say, "Play Dr. Dre" or something, usually, or "What was the score of Super Bowl 24?" or things like that. But I got that as a gift. I was like, I don't want this thing. I don't want this thing in my house. I don't want this thing listening to me. It's bad enough we're carrying around the phones. Now we're going to do it in our house. It's got a camera in it, I think. I don't want that. What's the difference? It's fine. And it is very convenient. It's super convenient to be able to just, "Hey, G word, play Ed Sheeran." And my wife can do dishes and listen to Ed Sheeran. Or I could say, "Hey, G word, play George Clinton." And I can cook while listening to P-Funk. It's convenient, but also the FBI just accessed an unsubscribed Nest camera in its investigation. Is it helpful? I mean, in this moment, am I happy that it could provide information that leads to this woman coming back to her home? Yeah, it's better. Is this good overall for society? There's no chance that's good. There's no chance it's good that the FBI, when desperate, is like, "All right, I guess we'll just reveal this. Every one of those cameras you guys have been buying and hanging up around your homes, we have that. So we're going to access it in the name of safety." We love convenience. We love the perception of safety. It takes me into the whole thing about everything at the airport. Still taking off our shoes and our belts at the airport. Shoes and belts are not the problem at the airport. They were the problem then. Well, the shoes really weren't. I mean, that was one guy. The shoe thing was one guy. The overall airport thing, I get it. The security theater that has existed for 25 years now, like, I get why that made people feel better for a while. But now it's just an annoyance. And then you think about, I don't know if it's the same thing or it's the opposite thing, but like they're pretending it's the same. I don't want to take off my belt to walk through a metal detector to fly to Oxford, Ohio. I don't want to do that. Especially when I'm flying with, we all know each other. We're all on the same team. Most of my flights are charter UB football flights. I've traveled with my family on a plane once. I think we went once. The kids have all been on the plane twice because we came back. My wife and I have gone away a few times before them. But generally speaking, I haven't. I went to Vegas for work at one point. But in the last 10 years, if I've taken 100 flights, 92 of them have been charter, which means we know everybody there. But you could have a bad seed, some terrorist defensive back from the wrong side of the tracks. I don't know. But generally speaking, it's just like we're all wearing the same clothing. We're all the same. We don't need to go through this charade. And it is better on a charter flight because we don't all have to do it. You're just randomly selected. I don't know what percentage of people, but every sixth flight, I get picked and I have to go through the metal detector and get wanded and all that stuff. Most of the time, you're just told, go ahead. You come in, you check your name, you go, fine. And that is kind of a bridge between what we think we need to see as far as security and what we really believe we need for security, and they bridge the gap there. So it's a little bit better on a charter flight. But flying commercial, you are still treated like it's September 12th, 01. And that's in the name of safety. But then they will sell you, and it's not the same people necessarily, but the collective they, the world, will also sell you on you're protecting yourself by putting this camera on your front door. You got to subscribe. You got to pay for it to protect yourself, but you're protecting yourself. But that's it. This is just for you. This is you keeping yourself safe. And as it turns out, no, it's not. The previous footage from the camera, I can't access 5 minutes ago on my phone. I paid for that thing and hung it on my, well, I think Santa got it. But if Santa paid for it, my wife opened it, I hung it up, and I can't access 5 minutes ago on my phone. But if I'm abducted, 10 days from now, the FBI can be like, yeah, we got that footage. There it is. As long as I'm abducted by front door, we're in good shape. FBI is going to solve it. So watch out. And I think they said they took the Ring camera, like took the thing too. So that means it's not like trapped in the camera, which I think we know, because there's not like an SD card you have to put in there or anything. There is a video of the front of my house, being shot from the front of my house at all times, being uploaded to the cloud and accessible by the government. And we have done that to ourselves. So I was right to reject it when I think that was Santa too, brought the Google Hub thing into our house. I eventually caved and said, fine, it can live in the kitchen. So my kitchen lives in the cloud now, right? I mean, the other thing too, they tell you it only listens, and Siri has been sued for this, or Apple has been sued over Siri, and there's I believe a current lawsuit against, I don't know if it's Ring or if it's Google, Nest, whatever you want to call it. But there's a current lawsuit about, hey, you said you weren't recording us, but you are, aren't you? And they're like, yeah, sorry. And Apple had already, I think it's the Apple already paid a bunch, and Google, they're in the process of negotiating a, $30 billion settlement or something for saying, yeah, I know we told you we're not recording you at all times, but we are. But even that, like, common sense says, if you have a device that if you say a certain word will respond to you, well, it's going to have to listen all the time, waiting to hear that word. Right? So if it's listening all the time, how's it? It's there. I have bugged my own home. We have bugged our own pockets. I don't know what happens with this camera right here when I'm not trying to use it. I don't know. It's suspicious that the world has found a way to point a camera at me every time I sit down to do any sort of work on a computer, and that it has put a tracking device and a microphone to record me in my pocket at all times, and it's on our doors, and they're settling multi-billion-dollar lawsuits going, yeah, it's true. So that's why I took out of it. They didn't find the woman. They detained somebody. There was something about a Bitcoin transaction that pinged some phone, and then they were able to find that person whose phone it pinged, but there was also suspicion in advance that people are setting up to try to exploit the situation. Like, this woman's missing. I guess I'll ask for ransom and see how it goes. And then they sent $300 to some Bitcoin account, and then that person checked the notification, and they're like, boop, gotcha. Except it was seemingly just that. The person was detained and then released. Although I would think if all of those things fit together, and I don't know because I just put bits and pieces together, and I spent half an hour reading about it. I just got caught up in it last night, and I was like, never mind, I'm going to bed. The thing that stood out, though, was the finding footage from a non-subscribed Nest doorbell from whenever this happened, 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I don't even want to say scary because it's like, yeah, of course. Why'd they sell me that camera? They sold me that camera so that they can access the footage. And there's a feature on the doorbell about like lost animals, and you can opt in so that if a dog gets loose in the neighborhood and somebody with one of these doorbells mentions it, like, here's my dog is missing, and then any doorbell in the neighborhood who has opted in to pet recognition technology or whatever, you can help find a dog. That seems good. But now and I guess does it matter if I give permission or don't give permission? No, it doesn't. Does it matter if I subscribe or don't subscribe? No, it doesn't. I don't know. It's just weird, man. We live in a weird time. It's getting weirder every day. That's all. That's all I'm saying. All right. Cell phone, wallet, Bitcoin, $300. Nest Cam at Nancy Guthrie's house, no subscription. Boulevard Mall closed yesterday after 64 years. And I saw someone, Boulevard Mall is a North Towns thing. And I saw a post on Twitter. I'm tired of saying X and Twitter. I still think of it as Twitter. I know it's called X. X is easier to type. Let's do it this way. When I talk about it, I'm going to call it Twitter. But when I type it into a browser, I'm going to type X. Can we agree on that? We can call it Twitter. It's just got a shorter URL now. Good enough? What was my point? Boulevard. Somebody tweeted Boulevard Mall or Summit Park Mall. I grew up in West Seneca. We had the Como Mall in Cheektowaga. We had Seneca Mall in West Seneca. We eventually had McKinley Mall in Hamburg or Blaisdell. My first ever trip to McKinley Mall. Mom, turn it off. Turn it off. You know what's coming. You don't want to hear this. My first ever trip to the McKinley Mall did not result in us getting to the McKinley Mall at all. What year did it open? Mid-'80s. McKinley Mall Wikipedia. Why not? All right? Let's get a full-blown recap. When did you open? 85. Okay. So October 7th, 1985, just shy of my 11th birthday. So I'm 10, almost 11. I'm in 6th grade. Makes sense. And at some point in the first couple weeks of that place opening, my mom wanted to go there. I was in. So we got in the car, quite possibly the 85 Plymouth Horizon. And we headed out from West Seneca, went Union Road to Southwestern, and never turned on Milestrip. GPS was acting funny that day on October 7th, 1985. It wasn't that day because that would have been opening day. We didn't go opening day, but it was, within a couple months of that. We were going to this new fancy mall in Blaisdell, and we ended up at the lake because my mom didn't turn on Milestrip. Just took Southwestern. Union to 20 or 20, it's a 20 or 28, whatever that is. Southwestern. And just took it right to the lake. And then we just gave up, turned around, and went home. Never saw the mall that day. We got there eventually. I didn't spend a ton of time there. And then Walden Galleria opened probably 88 or 89, and that ended up being the big one. That was the one when I was a kid, when I was in high school, we just lived there. I mean, that was what you would do on a Friday night. You just get dropped off at the mall before, when I'm a freshman or sophomore, that was it. Just go to the mall from 7 o'clock until maybe even like 10 o'clock, and then you'd go see a movie, and then someone else's mom would pick you up, or dad. That one opened in 89, May of 89. So, yeah, that coincides with my high school days. But the question on Twitter was Boulevard or Summit Park Mall, and I vaguely remember I remember seeing the Summit Park Mall at some point. I couldn't for $1 zillion tell you what town it was in. I know it was north of us. But Boulevard Mall seemed so far away. And now, I mean, my parents still live in the same house that I grew up in West Seneca. And like last night, we had a basketball game. First, we had a basketball practice. I had a basketball practice at a school in Cheektowaga, and then had to leave that early to get up to this church on the boulevard for a basketball game. And I thought nothing of driving from Amherst to Cheektowaga to Tonawanda for a basketball game. My parents came from that house, and the church is right near the Boulevard Mall. The church is a little further north than Boulevard Mall. How did I never go to the Boulevard Mall? The Thruway Mall existed too. That's right. Thruway Mall existed. But it's funny to live. I mean, I feel like every part of this area, the mall, is Walden Galleria, right? I mean, that was the definitive. That was the big one that came in. All these other ones were just sort of like the old school, like 70s version or, early 80s version. We were going to the future with Walden Galleria, and that still exists. And it's still, I mean, it's not obviously what it once was, but you drive by there. There are times when the parking lot's jammed. I had to try to go pick up my kid from a birthday party at Dave & Buster's, and I was in a hurry. Trying to find a parking spot anywhere near that place was impossible at, noon on a Sunday or whatever it was, 1 o'clock on a Sunday, something like that. But people still do jam that place up. But Boulevard Mall closing the interior portion as of yesterday. Eastern Hills Mall, I even remember utilizing at times. That's how I learned never to take Transit Road around rush hour. I knew back in the day I was to be home at 4:30 at every afternoon. So after school, whatever, I don't remember why I would have gone specifically to Eastern Hills Mall, but there must have been a reason. They must have had a specific store. And I thought that I could go there after school and then just get home. And I know it's like a 20-minute drive. So I left at 10 after 4, and I don't think I got home until after 5 o'clock. And I didn't have a cell phone because it was 1990 or 91 or whatever. But that's my mall experience. I think Walden Galleria is number one, and then everything else is it's regional. Like if you grew up in the North Towns, you probably didn't experience, I guess maybe, Como Mall. Como, which became Apple Tree, but the $1.50 movies, I mean, I talked about Walden Galleria being a night. $1.50 movies were, 3 times a week. It's the reason I've seen Ricochet 14 times. I bet I saw Ricochet 7 times in the theater. It's not even good. You want the tower? Go to the power. Nope. You want the power? Go to the tower. Word. Who am I? I didn't really do the voice very well. I was better at Ralph the Dog last week. Ready? You want the power? You want the power? Go to the tower. Word. That was Ice-T. That was me as Ice-T. It was terrible. But it's a movie featuring Denzel Washington and the aforementioned Ice-T and John Lithgow. Lithgow or Lithgow. Either way. They fight in prison using phone books as armor. It's a crazy movie. Early Denzel. He was not yet an Oscar winner. I don't think that he would have made that if he had done, Glory first. Or now I've got to look up Denzel Washington's IMDb page because I need to know the sequence of those movies. Because when does he become massive? I don't remember thinking, oh my God, that's Denzel Washington in this kind of B movie. Denzel Washington. Who did Denzel refuse to kiss? Is that really what people ask? All right. Where is his... It used to be you'd go to IMDb and it was super simple. IMDb is too complicated now. I used to think that was the best website in America. In the world. I just want the list of movies in sequence. Here are his awards. Let's just list of movies. Acting credits and accolades. I don't want accolades. I just want Glory was 1989. Maybe Glory was before Ricochet, but that was supporting actor. He didn't win Best Actor until Training Day. He's only won it once. He's been nominated 7 times for Best Actor. Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Training Day, Flight, Fences, Roman J. Israel Esquire, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. Where's Ricochet fall into this? Do you think the word Ricochet appears on anywhere on the page, the Wikipedia page of Denzel Washington? Let's find out. R-I-C-H-O. Nope. Didn't even make it on there. We do have to go to IMDb. I apologize for the delay here, because there is a point to this story that I am very unlikely to get back to. Okay. We're just looking stuff up. We're just hanging out. Denzel Washington. Okay. Career retrospective. That's fun. All right. Denzel Washington. Just make this easy for me. Stop having ads pop up all over the place. All right. I'm going to click his name. There's his name. Born December 28th, 1954 in Mount Vernon, New York. Middle of 3 children of a beautician mother, Lennis, from Georgia, and a Pentecostal minister father, Denzel Washington Sr., from Virginia. Do you think he ever introduces himself as Denzel Washington and then says, "You may have heard of my son, Denzel Washington"? This is supposed to be easier. Like, almost every time I go to an actor's page, I just want to see the movies they were in listed top to bottom. And there's just so many things. Known for. No, I don't care what he's known for. Upcoming, previous. Just show me all the movies. Credits, actor. Just that. No, that got rid of actor. We're good. I'm gonna find this out. Self? No, not self. This is disappointing. Should I play I'm gonna just play a song. I'm coming back. I'm gonna find out the order of Denzel Washington's movies. I'm going to do that because it's very important. Another shout out to Thomas Edison. Stick around. I'm Brad. It's Writer Radio. Episode 263. Seems like a lot, because it is. Stay tuned. Well, yes, I did spend that entire musical interlude reading about the movie Ricochet and watching clips from the movie Ricochet, one of which needs to be shared with you. If you haven't seen Ricochet from 1991, I highly recommend it, especially if they ever show it at the Como Mall again for $1.50. I mean, you just keep going. That was a night of entertainment in 1991 or 2. They're like second-run movies. So the movie be in the theater, or the real theater, for 3 months, 2 months, whatever it would be, and then poof, they'd show up at the Como Mall. We just go on a Friday night. You don't even have to look in the paper to find out what's playing. We'll find something. And then sometimes you'd find nothing. So you just see Menace to Society for the 7th time. Or Ricochet for the 11th time. I mean, that was a night of entertainment. Especially once somebody had a car. Didn't have to get dropped off there. You drive there, you go to the $1.50 movies. Then you go to Mighty Taco where the prices were half of what they are now. So the movie would be $1.50. I never buy anything at the movie theaters, which is bad business for the owners. Like any conversation I've ever had with people in that business, like, we sell popcorn. The movies are just the thing to bring you in to sell concessions. That's it. So I'm a bad person when I show up with an empty bottle for water and never spend a penny at concession stands. I just don't ever do it. I'm mostly the same at like Bills games. Bisons, for some reason, I always go to the concession stand. But Bills games, Sabres games, no. Movie theater, no. Just don't do it. Baseball, if not for the inordinate amount of time we spend at baseball diamonds, and we'll get there and have a game at 10 in the morning and not get home till 10:30 at night sometimes. And so, yeah, baseball, sometimes I've got I've got concession money to spend. That happens. But anyway, it'd be $1.50 for the movie. And then Mighty Taco, 2 Super Mighties and tap water, $4.16 or something like that. Entire night of entertainment, a movie and food. And I was young, like, amongst my friends. So I didn't even drive. So it was like I'd get a ride. Somebody pick me up at my house. I'd spend $1.50 to watch a movie. Then I'd spend $4 at Mighty Taco, and then I'd go home. It was great. So I looked up Ricochet. And actually, I'm going to play this in the background. This is very early in this movie where they're in prison. And it's John Lithgow. So just generally picture this. There's about to be a prison sword fight. A sword fight in prison. And the 2 competitors are brilliant actor John Lithgow and former governor of Minnesota and also WWF superstar Jesse the Body Ventura. So it's a prison sword fight. Why would you not, for $1.50, why would you not keep going back to watch a prison sword fight between John Lithgow and Jesse the Body Ventura? So we're going to hit play on this. This is just going to play in the background while I tell you more about the movie Ricochet and the career of Denzel Washington. Like I said, it was before he became massive. He had already won an Oscar 2 years earlier, for Best Supporting Actor in Glory, which I've never seen. I've seen Ricochet a dozen times. I have not seen Glory. But Glory probably doesn't have Jesse Ventura in it in a prison sword fight using phone books as armor. I mean, look at this. This is cinema at its finest. Especially with that amazing sound. That was one downfall of the, waiting to see a movie for $1.50. The sound was often terrible. Like, you just get there and be like, sound guy had a bad night. Oh, well, we'll try it again next week. Maybe it'll sound better. Like, I saw Jurassic Park. I thought Jurassic Park was a terrible movie for 20 years because I first saw it in the $1.50 theater with $1.50 speakers. And what was supposed to sound like, I'm like, I don't know, this movie's not really that good. So Denzel, he was in Glory in 89, Hurt Condition and Mo Better Blues in 90. And then in 91, Ricochet and something called Mississippi Masala. I don't know what that is. And then after that, he was nominated as Malcolm X. So 1 year after Ricochet, 1 year after being the star of a movie that featured John Lithgow beating Jesse Ventura in a sword fight in a prison with phone books as armor, phone books and duct tape. That was the armor. He was Malcolm X. Pretty good. He was good in this. I like this movie. It's got Jesse Ventura. It's got Ice-T. You want the power? Go to the tower. Word. And it's also got the theme that we just heard. Watch for the Ricochet. I forgot about that song until I was thinking about the movie, and it was cycling in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, that's an Ice-T song. And it was classic, like late 80s, early 90s, where the credits roll, and that's the song that plays as the credits roll. Like, I don't think they played that song contained within the movie. It was like, you gotta wait. You gotta sit through the whole thing. You gotta go through the prison fight. You gotta go through the drugging and molestation of Denzel Washington that happens. There he is. There's Denzel. He's the target. They're going to get him. John Lithgow does not like Denzel Washington. I don't remember the entire plot, but I know he doesn't like Denzel Washington. And I know I want to say they drug him and give him like gonorrhea or something happens, and they're blackmailing him. And I don't know if he was the detective that caught him and put him away or whatever it was. I don't remember all of it. I think I might have to watch this movie again. Might have to find it. Is that streaming anywhere? I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it, right? Yes, I am. What else am I going to do? I want to know where I can stream Ricochet. I feel like most people don't even know about Ricochet. Ricochet movie streaming where? Come on. Free on Pluto TV. Let's go. All right. I I recommend everybody go to Pluto TV. It's free. And watch Ricochet if you haven't seen it. Even if you have. Don't you miss it? So anyway, that was that all came up because of the mall thing. I also want to know where Summit Park Mall was. I'm Googling stuff today. Whatever. We're just hanging out. You get to see movie clips. Summit Park Mall location. This could be in Lockport, Niagara Falls. It could be Tonawanda. It could be Amherst. We're going to find out right now. This is very dramatic. Williams Road in Wheatfield. Wheatfield. I didn't say Wheatfield. 6929 Williams Road, Wheatfield. Formerly traditional enclosed mall that closed in 2009, it has undergone redevelopment into a mixed-use facility. That's what's happening. We do have a mall problem in America. We spend a lot of land and resources on these structures, and we're not using them anymore, really. I mean, they're there, but mixed-use structures. I've been thinking about this for a long time. There's another Summit Mall located in Fair Lawn, Ohio. It's a separate entity. So anyway, this all stems from one tweet that I saw, that because the Boulevard Mall closed as of yesterday, I believe. And then there was reference to, are you a Boulevard Mall guy or a Summit Park Mall guy? And neither. It was first it became the Summit. It was Summit Park Mall, then it was the Summit. Maybe it's the Summit now. It is known as the largest mall in Niagara County. Well, it was. I would think the Outlet Mall is pretty big, right? I have this vague memory of driving past Summit Park Mall, but we were never up north. I mean, yeah, you'd go to Niagara Falls once in a while or whatever. But North Towns did not exist to me. I remember between junior and senior year of high school. And again, it's just West Seneca. I went back and forth between these two places multiple times. 5 times this week I've been from Amherst to Cheektowaga, West Seneca, up to Niagara Falls. Not Niagara Falls, but like Tonawanda, not quite North Tonawanda. But all that, it's all so close. And I didn't know that. It's just the world is so much larger when you're a kid. And there was a time I think it was between junior and senior year, a friend of mine had a girlfriend that lived way up north, like way up in Amherst. And he would pick me up and we'd go hang out with these people. I remember going to a party. I remember it must have been senior year because I remember there was a live band and they sang Alive by Pearl Jam. So that's 91. So it's got to be 91, 92, in that range. And I couldn't believe how far we went. I couldn't believe that this guy knew of a party way up north. And it turns out it was essentially in my neighborhood now. But at the time, we had to drive past this. We had to get off the thruway. We drove past this giant blue water tower and just kept going. And then got off like one exit later. 2 exits, 3. And then went to this party in this house that's essentially, it's in basically my neighborhood right now, like the next neighborhood over, but it's where I live. But to me, we might as well have been going to the North Pole to go see this, or to go to this party where a band was playing Pearl Jam songs. They did Under the Bridge. It's got to be 91, 92. What is my point? The mall. It started with the mall, and I've lost all concept of everything here. All right, let's see what's open on the screen. Had some trouble uploading yesterday's show to Spotify and had a couple people ask me about it. It's either there now or about to be. No, it's there now. I got it up right before the show started today. So it is there. But somebody asked, are you not doing Spotify anymore? I'm like, yeah, I am. Something happened. It takes forever to process the video. And so I set it to process, and then I had a meeting at 1 o'clock yesterday. So I went to that, and I came back to check that it was done, and it looked like it was done, and I went to upload it, and it said 0 kilobytes was the size of the file. So I kept trying, turned off the computer, turned it back on, I had to redo all the edits, and finally it's there in all its glory. So it's there. Yesterday's episode, which, I'm not saying you need to watch or listen to every episode, but I want to be complete. I put numbers on them. The sequence should exist. Yesterday is 262, and it's finally available on Spotify. That kicks it over to YouTube, the edited version. What actually happens is we do the show live on YouTube, and then it remains. But it's got all the stuff in it, all the music, all the stuff that I can't have, all the stuff that I can't publish. So that remains, and I get emails every day like, you can't do that. It's fine, but don't do that. And I edit the stuff out, and then I put that on Spotify, and that puts that on YouTube. So you might click on a YouTube link, and it's the unedited thing with the music in it. The music is just, it's all stuff I like almost all the time. It's stuff that I'm picking. So feel free to utilize the service of DJ Braddy Brad over here, Brad Bunny. But the packaged product of the show is a process. We record it, we air it and record it, then we edit it, then it gets posted here, then it goes there. So you're looking for the finished product. The finished product, after a little while, has a cool name as opposed to like a headline. If it just says Writer Radio episode number whatever, that's the old live one. Or I just posted it because I have to wait an hour or something for the transcript to be ready so that I can cut and paste the transcript so that I can put that into ChatGPT, have it give me a summary and give me a headline, and then I put that in, and then it changes on all the platforms. But I'm just trying to help you understand the process of what's going on here at Writer Radio. All right, the stuff that I have open on the screen, it's time to go through that. All right, we can close out John Lithgow. I'm done with that. That is an incredible scene. How about this? College football news. Montana linebacker, last name is very long and likely Hawaiian, Tuliaupupu. I'm not just saying this because of poo-poo. I'm saying it because he's been granted a 9th year of eligibility by the NCAA. 9 times. How many times did you play football in college? 9. How many years of college football? 9. Van Wilder went to school for 7 years. This guy's played 9 years of college football. Solomon Tuliaupupu will return for the 2026 season after being granted a 9th year of eligibility by the NCAA. The rules are gone. There are no rules. Commit, but not really. Pay, but then don't. But then sue, but then be unable to recoup it. It's really out of control. The school announced his return on social media Monday alongside 6th-year old lineman. He calls him young man. Dylan Jemtegard. So it used to be 4, but then the red shirt thing makes it 5, and then it could be a medical red shirt, and maybe you get to 6, and then COVID happened, and then everything up. Let's try to can you even picture how this gets to 9? I would imagine there's junior college involved. I would imagine there's COVID still. Because eventually we're going to get rid of all the COVID exemptions, because that happened. Basically, the year 2020 doesn't exist. Jared Patterson's running for 400 yards and 8 touchdowns in a game. That season did not affect anyone's eligibility. So they just let everybody slide on that. So that's one. If you were redshirted, that's another. If you have a medical red shirt, that can be another. There used to be a year of sitting out for transfers. That could be another. It wouldn't be an extra season, it'd be an extra year. But the next thing you know, you're 44 years old and you're playing college football. All right, how did this go? He turns 26 in March. He's entering his 2nd season at Montana after starting his career at USC in 2018. Dude has been playing college football since 2018. He was sidelined for his entire undergraduate campaign at USC after 2 surgery-requiring injuries, impacting his foot in 18 and his knee in 2020. His first season at Montana and his 8th overall was just his 2nd full season played and 3rd with game action. Saw the field for the first time as a redshirt senior in 22. Sidelined by another injury in 23 and missed the whole season. Wrapped up his USC career in 2024, playing in 7 games for the Trojans before the season was cut short because of illness. Then he transferred to Montana in 2025. He will play under new Montana coach Bobby Kennedy. Kennedy is succeeding Bobby Hawk, who was named defensive coordinator at Illinois on Monday after a brief retirement. So 9th year of college football eligibility for this Montana linebacker. I think we had 2 6th-year players on the UB Bulls last year. One of them, I think, was Solomon Brown, and I thought we should start calling these guys doctors, because that's who goes to school for 7 years, right? So make him Dr. Brown. I liked it. Not this. Ricochet. Oh, more on the Super Bowl halftime show. Can you believe that we are, what's today, Wednesday? We're 3 days removed, and I mean, I cannot escape stories and like statistics and viewership numbers and stuff of the Super Bowl halftime show, which I made this point yesterday, but I'll say it again. I would count, if they were tracking it, I would count as someone who tuned in to the halftime show of the Super Bowl, but I would contend that the vast majority of people were just watching a football game, and then that was what was on between halves of the football game. So acting as if this is a statement being made by anyone at all, I wasn't stating an opinion by leaving the football game on. I watch it every year, and I leave it on, and then when it ends, I turn it off. So you've got me from at least kickoff, usually a little early. This time, I did intentionally tune in at 6 o'clock because of Green Day. My kids love Green Day. I like Green Day. So that was intentional. But just jamming something in between two things I'm watching and then accusing me of choosing to watch the thing you put on. I didn't choose to watch any of those commercials. It wasn't like, yeah, you know what? 144 million people tuned in to be pitched by 7 different AI companies over the course of an evening. It wasn't that. It was I was watching a football game, and then they put other stuff on, and eventually they'd get back to football, and that's fine. And that, again, I'm not like yay or nay on what I saw at halftime. It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't exceptionally long. I wasn't blown away by it. I was blown away by the one shot, and I apologize if I said this on the show already. Before the game, that Charlie Puth guy was singing the national anthem, and they had a shot of him like kind of from the side, and then all in one take, it just kind of panned up, and then there was the flyover with 7 fighter jets, I'll call them. I don't know what exactly they were, but a big one, and flanked by 6 others in formation. Super cool, obviously. If you're ever in a stadium for a flyover, it's awesome. Love it. I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know that it's worth the money that we're spending on it, but it's cool. There's a shot, though, Charlie Puth, and just watching him, and then it goes up, and everything comes in, and it goes right back to it's awesome. So that was cool. But I didn't tune in for Charlie Puth. Like 148 million people watch Charlie Puth in the flyover. Like, no, I just was watching a football game. I turned it on at 6, and I left it on until it was over. I think it's worth noting the number of people that intentionally went and found the Kid Rock thing. Like, that's a number. Like, how many people actually did that? And it's supposedly like 6 million, which is, I don't know, I don't think super impressive, but whatever. But even then, like the numbers that I had yesterday, I saw a headline from a credible source. I mean, credibility is tough to pin down these days, but it was just like an ESPN story or a USA Today story, something really just middle of the road, generic, like, here's the numbers. And Bad Bunny sets records. It's like, did he? And then by today, it's like, no, he didn't. Not quite. Down 2.2% from last year. Like, any of it matters. I get that that's how big media works. It's number of viewers we are presenting you, and therefore we can charge you X number of dollars. But, okay, so it went down 2.2% from last year when Kendrick Lamar was the halftime guy, performer. I'm so used to hosting halftime football that I said halftime guest, or almost said halftime guest, but performer. So now, will the price of a Super Bowl ad next year go down 2.2%? Seems pretty unlikely. So it seems to me that the Super Bowl is watched by everyone every year. I know we can't simplify it in that way because people are spending so much money on these advertisements that they need data. But I've never not watched a Super Bowl. I'll never not watch a Super Bowl. I don't know anybody else who's ever not watched the Super Bowl. My wife every year goes into this depression as soon as the Bills are eliminated and tells me for either 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks how she doesn't care about the Super Bowl this year. It doesn't even matter. She doesn't care. She's not. I don't even think I'm going to watch it. And yes, she does. Yes, we do. I don't know people who don't watch the Super Bowl. My mom might not sit down and stare at it, but I guarantee it's on in the house, and I guarantee she sees some of it. People who care about football are going to watch it. People who don't care about football are also going to watch it. People who detest football can go shopping and not have to deal with crowds. You can go to a movie. They still show movies. You ever think about that? They still show movies. Like, there are people, like, I'm going to watch an Avengers movie in a theater because nobody's going to be there because I hate football. And they're probably open for them. But somebody's got to work for that. They could probably watch on their phones. You got to watch the Super Bowl. Everybody watches the Super Bowl. So the numbers, whatever. Official numbers for Bad Bunny and Kid Rock, Super Bowl 2026 halftime show ratings. I'm going to do it anyway. This is from TV Insider. I believe them. If you're calling yourself TV Insider, I believe you. If you call yourself Political Insider, I don't. If you call yourself an NHL Insider, I kind of don't. TV, it's just like, yeah, we watch TV. We pay attention. We're going to look stuff up. We'll be fine. I'm going to call them credible. I'm going to assume credibility right now. That's what you have to do at all times. You have to make a determination about how credible the person you're listening to actually is. Are they lying to me? Are they just dumb? Have they fallen prey to misinformation elsewhere and now they're regurgitating it, thus creating this chaos in which we live? There's a lot of the conversation I had yesterday with Jeremy Hoyle was just about chaotic society and about not knowing who to believe, who to trust, what is real news. We got into some Epstein stuff. It got a little dark. All right, Bad Bunny. Early ratings are out for Bad Bunny's halftime show and also Turning Point USA's alternative show headlined by Kid Rock. All right, I'm going to interrupt to say already just lost some credibility. There aren't ratings for YouTube. There are just viewer numbers, that's it. Perhaps not surprisingly, they show a clear winner. President Trump slammed Bad Bunny show, but has yet to comment on the alternative broadcast. Well, there's nothing really there to... I mean, it wasn't... If this is a competition, that was not a competition. I mean, that was worse than the game. As far as blowout is concerned. As far as one side versus the other. It was, a pre-taped mess that live premiered on YouTube in time with it. Wasn't a competing show. It wasn't like we're here and if you look over there you can see this one. It wasn't that. It was they made a YouTube video and premiered it right around the time Bad Bunny stepped onto the field. All right, here we go. The official ratings for Super Bowl halftime show are in, with NBC reporting that Bad Bunny's performance averaged 128.2 million viewers between 8:15 and 8:30 on Super Bowl Sunday. It's a 3.6% drop from last year's halftime show. Ooh. The NFL title game itself was watched by a total of 124.9 million viewers, according to Nielsen data. That was down 2.2% from last year. So the game itself was watched by fewer people than halftime. See, already I've got a problem here because you're not thinking of me. I just turned it on. You're counting me in both of those categories. Maybe this is legit. Maybe it is legit. It's people that were... But how do you know when halftime is? Do you have an alert set on your phone? Like, I hate football, but I love Spanish. So I'm going to watch Bad Bunny, but I am not watching the NFL. Well, then how do you know when halftime is? As of press time, even if... Let's use my mom as the example. Even if my mom doesn't watch football, but wants to see the halftime show because she's heard the buzz and it's going to be crazy, or because she loves Spanish. My sister, perfect. Let's use my sister. My sister doesn't care at all about the Patriots. She doesn't care at all about the Seahawks, but she's a Spanish teacher, and she'll send me messages in Spanish because she likes Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, a little tiny bit. I mean, I took it through high school. I took AP Spanish. And then I didn't take it in college, and it just kind of went away. I've got a little bit, I can pick and choose and get a few words out of it. And usually she sends me a message, and I can figure it out. But like she sent me a video of her new dog. And she explained to me that she liked this dog because it lived in a Spanish-speaking home, and it replies to commands in Spanish. And she wrote that all out to me, and I understood it. She wrote that out in a text message with the video. But then I played dumb, and I said, I said, I think I understood that, and that is awesome. I can't wait to hear her bark in Spanish. It's a whole joke. It's not a great one. As of press time, 2 full days after the Super Bowl, the All-American Halftime Show, headlined by Kid Rock, has just over 21 million views on YouTube. Meanwhile, Bad Bunny's has more than 61 million views on YouTube. I've intentionally not gone and watched that, although I've seen clips, but I haven't sought out the official thing because I don't want to add to that number. It was just such a petty, stupid thing that happened. I don't want to be a part of the story. Turning Point USA enlisted Kid Rock to headline its alternative Super Bowl halftime show while Bad Bunny took the stage at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. But who came out on top? According to early viewing figures, Turning Point struggled to make an impact against Bad Bunny's star-studded and spectacularly choreographed performance, while Bad Bunny sang along Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin. Kid Rock was joined by country singers Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. The initial 25-minute broadcast was viewed approximately 4 million times. New York Times, that was The Independent. The New York Times reported slightly higher numbers. What? I don't know. We're doing it again. We're treating numbers as if this is like the stats thing where you have to go for it when it's 4th and 2, but it doesn't take into account everything else. We're just taking numbers and pretending they're real. Like this person, NBC is telling us how many people watched NBC. Well, whose interest is that serving? The higher the number, the better that sounds for NBC, the more they can charge, blah, blah, all that stuff. So NBC says this. Can't you just look at YouTube and see I can. I can see the numbers of what, who's watching this live and who watched it afterward and who listened to it on Spotify and who downloaded. I can see all that. So how are these numbers up for debate? I get the TV one. Who knows? Oh, yeah, I was going to say this. We'll use my mom or my sister as an example. She doesn't care about football unless the Bills are playing. But she does care about Spanish. So I could see her being the kind of person who is off doing something else, and then my brother-in-law goes, hey, it's halftime. And then she comes into the room, and now they're both watching, but that didn't change anything numbers-wise or ratings-wise. It's impossible to know this stuff. How many eyeballs are actually on it? But that's the world in which we live. It's better now. But I think about radio and Nielsen ratings, or Arbitron ratings. TV is Nielsen, radio Arbitron. I haven't been in the game for a while, but you ever hear that thing on the radio where they'll say remember the time you spent listening to WBEN or whatever? That's because forever, and I don't know if it's still this way, radio ratings are based on people receiving a pamphlet in the mail along with, I believe, a $1 bill, and they're asked to write down the things that they listen to and send it back by this date. Write down the time, everything you remember. So that was remember the time. Remember the time you listened to Brad Ryder, so that maybe you'll write down Brad Ryder a week from now when you're scrambling to fill this thing in to make sure you get your $10 or whatever they'll send you for sending it in. And it's just about what people listen to, what they remember of what they listen to, and what they commit to paper and then mail in. And then it's wow, that station is number one again. Is it? Do we know that? Are we accounting for the shop, the muffler shop, where they're cranking 97 Rock all day, every single day, for the last 40 years? Does 97 Rock get credit for that? They should. I've thought this for a long time. I used to read gas meters just for a summer job, like late high school, college era, for the gas company. I can't imagine even the Super Bowl is watched by, at least from a share perspective, like the number of televisions that are turned on. What percentage of the TVs that are on are you watching? I can't imagine that The Price is Right is not the most popular show in America. There's not a single house I would go in, or bars that are open during the day, or restaurants that are getting ready to open, or whatever. The Price is Right is on, at least back in the 90s, every single time. I could go in one place and see that somebody's up for a car, but I got to leave, and I go to the next house and find out if they won the car. And if they're in commercial, I could be like, did he win the car? They're like, no, he didn't win the car. But that's the way it is with the Super Bowl. It's the way it is with just a Bills game right here. You got to drive somewhere. You're in the car. You're listening, at least for now, or you were listening on the radio in the car. And then you get out of the car and you walk in. You're like, what happened on third down? Like, oh, they stopped them. They had to punt. It's just a continuous thing, room to room, house to house, town to town in Western New York during a Bills game. The Price is Right is the same way. Certainly in bars. I mean, what else are you going to watch at a bar at 11 o'clock in the morning other than The Price is Right? What's better than The Price is Right? All right, I'm done with that story. Edison inventions, we already did. I think I'm done. What time is it? Oh, close enough. 11:55. We'll call it a day. I'll be back on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday, episode 264. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for being a part of it. But I'm done. Got another meeting today. A lot of meetings going on. Don't forget about Brain Vault. Brain Vault next Tuesday. Maybe by tomorrow, I'll be able to tell you of a special guest or two. It'll be me. It'll be Tim Graham, and potentially more as we keep this thing going with episode number 3 of Brain Vault. Okay, all done. Go get your tickets now. You don't need a special guest. No, once I announce a special guest, what if the whole world is like, oh my God, I can't believe, I can't believe Bad Bunny is going to be on Brain Vault. And then you're out in good luck. You're trying to deal with scalpers on Seneca Street because me, Tim, and Bad Bunny are doing Brain Vault inside the Cas. So don't put yourself in that spot. I don't want to imply that we're going to have Bad Bunny because I haven't even spoken. I haven't followed up yet with his people. But I'm just saying, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Go get your tickets because you'll regret it when I announce. We'll just, for the sake of argument, say Bad Bunny is going to be joining Tim and I on the stage, or Kid Rock, whichever one makes you happier. Me, Tim, and then could be Kid Rock, although it probably won't be Kid Rock, but let's just say Bad Bunny. If it's me, Tim, and Bad Bunny, and you find out tomorrow, and then you're like, oh, I didn't buy the tickets yet, and they're gone. I mean, what are you going to be paying on the streets for Bad Bunny at Brain Vault? Just use common sense. Get ahead of it. Bye.
For lunch. I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich. We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place. Okay. We brought you a shirt.
You get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?